Hi everybody, this is my channel Mimi Heba. Welcome to my channel. My name is Vicky. So thank you once again for joining me in my channel and being here in this video. I truly appreciate your time and your energy. In my channel, I talk about my life experiences, and through sharing my experiences, my hope and my intention is that there'll be something here that will either inspire, motivate, and or educate you, especially if you are on your transformational journey. So if this resonates with you, please feel right at home right here. In today's video, I wanted to expound further or delve further into discussing the tools that I mentioned in my previous video that have supported me in my self-discovery journey. So just to do a bit of a recap, in my first and second video, I mentioned how important it is to know thyself as one of the lessons that I've learned, and how in the last 2 years I've come across many tools. I mentioned 3 in my last video that I've come across that have supported me in my self-discovery journey, and I shared briefly what the 3 of them were. So that was astrology, numerology, and past life regression. In this video, I wanted to explain further about how I see or how I perceive these tools to help us in our self-discovery journey, or to help us in life, in navigating through life. And I also thought that it would be good if I gave my life situation an example of how I've used both astrology and numerology in a more practical sense in my own life. So in terms of how these tools I feel or I perceive have the way they work in supporting us, I equate them to what the weather forecast does for us, which is it gives us information that helps us prepare for future weather outcomes. And so by us either logging into our app or watching on broadcast, on news broadcast, what the weather forecast will be for tomorrow, or for the next 10 days or 14 days or whatever, what that does is it arms us with information so that we know, so that if tomorrow the prediction is that it's going to rain, we can prepare ourselves. We can carry an umbrella, we can dress warmly, it's going to be a cold day, and so we're not caught off guard. And I feel that these tools that I mentioned before do the same for our lives. They prepare us, they give us that information about maybe what is transiting in the next year. So if I take an example of astrology, you can be able to work out cycles based on how the planets are moving around in the skies and where they touch your natal, the natal placements of either the same, the natal placements of either the same planets, or maybe some other planets, if there's a configuration, such as if they're meeting up, a conjunction, or if they're opposite each other, what that means for you in your life in a practical sense. And for me, having looked at past events, past life events in my own situation, in my life rather, I have correlated life events, major life events, to some form of transit that was taking place that was touching a natal placement, or a natal planet, a natal placement placement in my planet, in my natal chart, right? Sorry for that confusion. So that has helped me understand that life events are just not happening. There's a divine purpose, there's a higher purpose to why some things have happened. And so that has helped me get more closure in terms of understanding why some people have come into my life and why at certain times they've left, whether they were there for a season, or why certain things have happened, certain situations have come my way, what that means for me. So being able to have that information, being able to understand the why, the intention, intention behind the actual event has helped me be able to understand better why this has happened, why this situation has come my way. It's also prepared me. I'm also learning how to prepare for years ahead through studying how the movement of the planets will be in the coming year, and how that applies to my natal chart. So I think I mentioned this in the previous video. In astrology, your natal chart is, if I didn't, I'm going to mention it here again. Your natal chart, or your birth chart, is your blueprint that you carry with you throughout your lifetime. And in it, you can be able to gather information such as what challenges you might encounter, where your strengths lie, what your life purpose is, what your life lessons are. If you believe in karma and reincarnation, what your past life could have potentially been. And this is also where past life regression comes in. You can do a session and it can take you into your past life, and you can understand where you've come from, so that you can understand if there's been trauma that has occurred in your past life that is playing out unconsciously in your life. Because unless we bring these things, these traumas, to consciousness or to light, they'll continue to play out in an unconscious and chaotic manner, because it's sort of a cry for help. It's sort of a cry for, see me, there's trauma here, and I'm asking for you to bring it to the surface, so that you can shed some light, it can bring some closure, and it can be able to be transmuted to something positive. So I hope that explains the way in which the way I perceive these tools to come in handy in us trying to understand life, in us navigating life, and in us having these tools that are going to support us as we continue to lead our lives, and as we continue to align ourselves to our true purpose. So I will now mention how I've used astrology and numerology for myself. And this is just literally such a small part of the extensive information that I have drawn out from both my numerology as well as my astrology. But I'm just going to share it just so that it can provide an example for anyone out there who's interested. So I'll start with astrology. So from your natal chart, you can be able to get what is called your north node and your south node. And your nodal points, your north node and your south node, these are the opposite poles of the moon, are thought to be karmic points. They're thought to represent, the north node is thought to represent your life purpose, what you're here to do, and your south node is thought to represent either past life or what you are walking away from, what you've already understood, the lessons you've already learned, and you are moving away from your south node and you're moving towards your north node as you go through life. So life will present itself in situations that will ask that you learn to move away from what is familiar, which is your south node, to move to where you are learning and where you're evolving, which is your north node. So for me, my north node is in Taurus, and my south node, which is on the opposite side of the chart, is in Scorpio. So when you have a north node in Taurus and a south node in Scorpio, like I do, the north node, I'm going to go to my points. The goals of the north node are asking you to understand what your self-worth is. This Taurus Scorpio axis is actually what is referred to as the material spiritual axis. So this pertains to the south node, pertains to the spiritual realm, whereas the Taurus north node refers to the material world, the five senses, things to do with our resources, things to do with money. So those are the themes that I'm working around, especially in terms of my north node. I'm working towards how to be self-reliant, how to create my own wealth through understanding the value that I can provide, and that comes through understanding my self-worth. And so other goals for having a North Node in Taurus includes embracing independence in certain situations and not focusing on pleasing other people, as well as not focusing on other people's situations, allowing people to make sovereign decisions, and also understanding my boundaries, having strong boundaries so that I understand where my me ends and where the other begins. It also speaks to having compassion and caring, being merciful and trustful, which, I mean, these sound quite obvious, but sometimes situations, especially if with a North Node in Taurus, there will be situations that will present themselves that will challenge this in me, because this is what I'm coming to learn. So I don't have this innate, rather I do, but I haven't practiced them. So what I'm being asked is to consciously move towards making these choices and taking these actions. And again, it talks about South Node moving away from being revengeful or being vindictive, embracing love, and being more diplomatic. So that again is astrology, so that is just a snippet, and a lot of my chart will then be in support of that, the North Node in Taurus. So where my sun is placed, my moon is placed, my Saturn, my Mercury, all that are working in tandem to help me towards understanding what my life purpose is. And through studying my natal chart, I begin to understand, okay, so I'm conscious about that. I'm conscious about what the challenges are likely to be in my life, and I'm also conscious about the lessons I'm here to learn. So I am always making aligned decisions or aligned actions because I am not living unconsciously. I'm living consciously, understanding that there are lessons that I'm here to learn, and I'm here to evolve as a human. I'm here to be the best version of myself, and I'm here to transform my life. Now, when I go to numerology, my life path number, so your life path number is actually in numerology thought to be the most important number, because this represents your ultimate life purpose. And I thought I would discuss that so that I can show you how both work together, like numerology and astrology work together. So how you work out your life path number, if you're interested, you just add your date of birth. So for example, if you're born on the 1st of the 1st of 1990, so you add 1 plus 1, which is your date of birth plus your month of the birth plus your year of birth, 1, and then so 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 9 plus 9. And that gives you your total. So if so you add your numbers all together until you get a single digit. So when I add my date of birth together to get a single digit, my life path number adds up to an 8. And so for someone who's got a life path number of 8, like I do, what this means is that here I'm just going to read this again. This life path number 8 connects to, again, the material spiritual axis. So that actually is, it resonates, so it aligns with my North Node in Taurus and my Scorpio South Node, and although this is quite a direct, which, for me it's quite direct, sometimes it's not that direct, but for me, my numerology and my astrology, my life path number and my North Node are they're very much so aligned, which means there's that much more emphasis of me to understand how the material world works and how spirituality works, and understanding manifestation. And, to be truly honest, these are the areas that I'm fully, I'm passionate about, I'm interested in, I'm always studying, and I've always been seeking to understand these issues in the world, so it just goes without saying that what this is pointing out is exactly what my heart and my soul and my inner self seeks to understand, because that's why I'm here. I'm here to understand exactly that. So with the goals of a life path 8, I'm just going to read this off. This is again connected to infinity, because if you look at 8, when you if you were to rotate the number, it has that infinity symbol. And that represents balance, harmony, and connectedness. Again, Taurus North Node connects to balance, it connects to harmony. So with the goals of a life path 8, it's about self-empowerment, which again is aligned to the North Node in Taurus, that speaks to understanding my self-worth. And and it speaks to ambition, empowerment, I mentioned that, and financial security, which again is in tandem with my North Node in Taurus, that speaks to resources and understanding and knowing how I can build my own financial wealth through understanding my self-worth and through understanding the value that I can provide to the world. So that is just a small sort of analysis, quite very simple analysis as to how I have used this to I've used both astrology and numerology to understand some aspect of my life. Numerology is a good one to start. So as I mentioned, you can do your life path number by adding up your date of birth, your month of birth, and your year of birth down to a single digit. And if you go online and just Google what numerology numbers represent, a lot of information will come across that you can be able to read, so that if you got like a life path number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 6 or 9, you can read on that, and then you can begin to understand what your life purpose is, and it can shed some light into, maybe even you can see a theme that has occurred in your life that is calling for you to learn a lesson around your life path number. So I hope there's something here that has educated you, that has inspired you, that has piqued your interest or your curiosity into going into a self-discovery. I would implore you to really invest in your own development and in understanding who you are. And if there is and you're comfortable sharing, I would love to hear from you. Otherwise, I will leave this video here. Until next time, I wish you so much love and so much light. Bye.